Good afternoon. Welcome to the tea table. I am so happy you have joined me today. If you haven't gotten your tea yet, you can pause and get your tea, and I will be right here waiting for you. Well, hard to believe we're on Labor Day weekend 2022, the end of the summer, and I love this summer. We have had such a gorgeous August. Oh my. I think the sun has shone every day for us. And I decided I would continue to play this Gypsy CD. It's from the Hungarian Gypsies in Budapest, and I played part of it a few weeks ago, and it has like 40 songs on it. I thought I've got to keep playing. I am dressed in straw, and I brought a straw bag because straw is summer, and this is kind of the last weekend. And I have my straw bag that is wonderful for travel. It literally holds everything. And you can't see them, but I have my sandals, my gold straw sandals on, and this is a fun kind of a sombrero, Arizona Southwest straw hat that really keeps the sun out. Yes. And we have roses here, and they're so beautiful. They're so sturdy and hardy. I love roses. They're so wonderful. I see why they are the favorite flower for many people. And I decided to wear all white. I'm wearing white for summer, and I have some fun wooden necklace and some turquoise beads that I feel like I could be today on the Mediterranean. I could be in Italy at Portofino. I could be, in Greece or Southern California. It's warm and breezy, but a little windy. My hat actually fell off. So I brought you a beautiful cup. This is a cup that is red, pink, roses again, and silver. Most china has gold, yellow gold, but this has silver, see? And so this is going to be our last summertime tea party because we're getting ready for back to school, aren't we? And I have a beautiful pot here, a round silver pot, and I'm going to pour out. And I brought along, this tea set is special. It has an extra pot. And in England, when I lived there, they would have an extra pot of just hot water. So if the tea is a little strong, you can dilute it. See, just a little bit of hot water. And now that's the gypsy music playing. They're going wild, aren't they? They have the zither and the hammered dulcimer and oh my. And it's always, gypsy bands seem to always be four. They're always relatives, brothers, uncles. It's a family tradition. They're the best musicians. Now this is a little creamer that's a baby, and it's coal port. And it has the famous Indian tree, which has the roses on it. And as I looked it up, I discovered that almost every brand of china in England has used this Indian tree design. And I was talking to my friend this week who has the most beautiful roses. And she said, you know, the rose came from China. Now, isn't that interesting? So this Middle East and the Far East has given us so much for our tea table. Yes. Should we try our tea? Oh my goodness. This is a nice cup. Some cups just make tea so wonderful, so delicious. This is one of them. And I highly recommend that if you're at home and you're having afternoon tea, have a nice little pot and a nice cup. Even if you are all by yourself, it doesn't matter. Use your best. Don't just save it in the cupboard. Well, let me put my teacup down now. And for our dessert, okay, I finally came up with a really nice dessert for Labor Day. Traditional chocolate cake. And a little piece has been removed. And this is a cake server that actually is so beautiful. The swirls on the silver are almost identical to the swirls on this tea set. And the handle is ceramic white, pink, gold, and have flowers on them. And so you would take the cake and you would cut a piece and serve it to your guests. I found out the secret why all these wonderful Victorian women, how they kept their waistline and stayed so thin and had high tea every day. Well, the tradition would be the family would have a cake and it would last all week. And at high tea or afternoon tea, each member would have a little slice. Isn't that nice? And a lot of hot tea. And that's all it takes. And I think that is the secret. Don't deprive yourself. Just have a little bit. Yes. Well, I brought along another fun little purse. I probably brought it already this summer. I've got this hanging on my chair here, but you know, I'm traditional, and in the olden traditional days when I was growing up, you didn't wear white shoes or white purse or white gloves until Easter. And then the last time you would wear your white gloves and white purse and white shoes was Labor Day. And so this is a fun little purse with white leather, a little bit of alligator, and straw. And I'm very fond of straw in all forms and in the summer. And that comes from the Orient also, because it's so hot and exposed there. They have to cover their heads or they would just be melting. And covering the head, you who live in Arizona and desert places, in America, you know the importance of keeping your head covered. Protect your skin and keeps you cool. And we're so blessed now with all of our air conditioning and, you know, our fans and air conditioning in our cars. We take it all for granted. But it wasn't that way. Even 50 years ago, you know, I remember my husband and I were talking, even 40 years ago. You know, he lived in Texas, and they would drive home from California to Texas every year. No air conditioning, and they had ways to stay cool. And one of the ways was ice under your feet and get your clothes damp and and then they dry so fast, but sit on a towel and try to keep cool when you're driving in the car. And we, in this part of the country, also, I remember sitting in church and the ladies having fans, the real fans, and staying cool that way. But we've moved on now, and with our technical age and all of our blessings, we just take it for granted. But I think we need to be grateful and express that occasionally, or often, actually. And I just wonder, are you getting ready for autumn? I want to fully enjoy this beautiful, hi Mr. Sun, there he is. He's right there, coming through the trees. I want to enjoy this weekend thoroughly and breathe in summer, and with thoughts toward autumn, thoughts toward back to school, new books, new pencils, new notebooks, and autumn colors will be coming, and we'll be having autumn tea talks. But let's have a good picnic this weekend somewhere. And I want to tell you, last weekend, my husband and I went somewhere very special. It was a day trip from Olympia. We went down to Long Beach, which is the southwest tip of the state of Washington on the Pacific. Hadn't been there for years. We usually go to the ocean up north. But 100 years ago, Long Beach in this area was the beach, and there are pictures that just covered with people. And the Long Beach goes miles and miles and miles. I know why people went there. There was enough room for everyone, literally. And the waves are very dramatic there because the Columbia River is coming in. And it's coming into the ocean, and that always causes the turbulence. Astoria, Oregon, is just 30 minutes south of Long Beach, and that is where the Columbia actually comes in. And very famous man there that knew how to guide the boats over the sandbars, because the sandbars were so dangerous. So many boats crashed, so many people were lost because the tides coming and going, and this massive Columbia River splashing into the Pacific would just create pools and eddies and all kinds of dangerous situations. And there's a bridge. If you ever come to this area, you want to go. The bridge is miles long, connecting South Washington and Oregon over the Columbia. Oh, it's a little scary because you're out in the middle, and that river is big. And Astoria is very Scandinavian. I guess the Scandinavians came there because it felt like Norway, and they knew all about boats and boat building, and they knew about the waters. And my husband and I, when we were driving down for miles, I mean hours, we didn't see a soul, just a few cars. And we were both saying, the land is so virgin and pure here. It is like, honestly, exactly like Lewis and Clark when they came. Very little has been built. There's still that many, when you go into Oregon, there are several forts where you can go and see reproduction where Lewis and Clark wintered, and they did not have it easy. Oh, one of them is called Depressed Pond or something. They wintered there by the Columbia, and it was gray, and when we were there it was sunny, but it can get gray and foggy and rainy, and I think it was Dismal Point or something. But we went a few years back to the actual fort, and it is fascinating. Do you know that Lewis and Clark had a violin? And there's a violin in the museum there. It was so important for them to have music. The fiddle was the center because it could bring the music and bring the life and get people up and energized again. And then if you go a little further south, you'll go to Seaside, Oregon, not far. And there is a beautiful statue of Lewis and Clark, and that's right at the end of the promenade, and it says, "The end of the trail." And so they literally came from Washington, D.C., when President Jefferson sent them out, not knowing where they were going. No one had explored it yet. And the story is fascinating, and one of the parts I love is Sacagawea, the Indian chief's daughter who helped them in Montana. And my son Sam lives in Wisdom, Montana, which is right where Sacagawea, it's in the Big Hole Valley, right where Sacagawea met Lewis and Clark, and there's a big center there, and she guided them. And she had a little papoose on her back, and she was this amazing Indian princess who helped them so much and guided them to find that Columbia River, I believe, and over those mountains. And then when they got on the Columbia, that was awesome because they could float down. They had to make barges out of wood and float down the Columbia down through eastern Washington. And I haven't really read the detail of that, but I'm thinking they could, that way, they avoided going over the Cascade Mountain Range, which would have been very difficult. That's where Mount Rainier is. Mount Adams, Mount St. Helens, Mount Baker, that's the Cascades, and you have to cross them in our state in order to get from western Washington to eastern Washington. We cross the Cascades. This is a beautiful area here, Washington State, and yes, last week I just fell in love with it again. And sometimes you meet people that are from other states that are doing things that you have not really heard of. And we met a man a few years ago at Quinault Lodge. He was a broker from the financial district of New York, and he loved climbing mountains, and he loved our state, and he was staying at Quinault Lodge, and then he was going to Lake Crescent Lodge, and then he was going back to Mount Rainier Lodge. Then he told us about something we didn't really know about. He was going to go over the mountains to Lake Chelan. It's a massive lake. I don't know, it's miles long, in the middle of eastern Washington by Wenatchee, where the peaches grow and the apricots and the cherries. This beautiful lake. You know, God puts water right in the middle of this desert of eastern Washington, and that lake is just fabulous. Well, he said, I get on the mail boat and I go all the way up the lake. It's a whole day's trip to Holden Village, which is now a Lutheran camp, but they let anyone stay. And he said it's actually called Timbuktu in the sense that it is considered the most remote place in all of the lower 48 America. And I do not believe you have cell coverage there. He said it was very reasonable. He could rent an A-frame and sit and look out, and he said it's so quiet, and you're literally at the end of the world within the nation. And so we learned a lot from this man, and he had come many times. He lives and functions in New York, but comes out here for adventure. And really, the population here is in a few places, Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia. After that, when you go west, not much population, trees everywhere, mountain passes, lakes, rivers. You can have a fabulous nature journey here. And then end up at the Pacific Ocean. And then behind me are the Olympic Mountains. You can't see them. but they're behind me, and they go all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And that's Mount Eleanor, Mount Washington, and many people. Many people climb those mountains. That does not require what Mount Rainier requires. Yeah, you can do it in an afternoon, but you have to have good shoes and you have to know what you're doing, because mountains are dangerous, just like oceans. And the Long Beach Ocean is dangerous because of the logs that come in. So people have to be aware. And I say always be the buddy system. Don't ever go out by yourself in the mountains or the ocean. It's better to have 2 or 3 or 4. The more the merrier, as long as everyone follows the good rules, the happy rules. But it is a lot of fun to go to the ocean, and I felt so invigorated just walking on the sand with my bare feet and just drinking in the good salt air. That's what my father, who's Norwegian, used to say. Drink in the good salt air. It's healthy, it cleanses your lungs, and it's a good tonic getting ready for the winter. Yes. Well, are you thinking about a little bit about fall? And some of my darling little tea people, you're already in school or going back to school. You probably have new shoes and new clothes. I loved back to school shopping and getting new shoes and new purse, new clothes, a new coat. And I remember when I was in junior high, I was able to work in the summer and babysat, and I bought all my own clothes. I went on the bus by myself downtown Tacoma and bought all my clothes, and I felt so happy. It was wonderful to be able to do that. And I'm sure my parents thought it was great too. And I loved it. I loved working, earning money, putting it in the bank, and then taking some and buying my own things. And that's a good feeling. And good work is good for everyone. And different kinds of jobs. Good experiences. A good retail job it prepares you for life. I worked once in the handbags at Frederick and Nelson's downtown Seattle. That was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. Met a lot of fascinating people. And I've had a variety when I was young. Worked in a restaurant once. Worked in, used to come home at Christmas from college and I would get a job at the Tacoma Mall at different places. Lots of fun. I loved it. You'd hire the college kids for Christmas. And you always learn something new every job you do. And doing a good job, going to work and earning money is a very positive thing. Earning your own money and being able to spend it and save it and give it and whatever you do with it. Yes. Organize it. Well, I'm excited for back to school too. I always get a new notebook. I get new pencils. I'm getting a new journal. And also I'm getting a new daytime calendar because I like to get the one from Barnes & Noble's. Starts in July and then goes through the following Christmas. So mine is just about done. I'm going to go get one. I like to get a good leather that smells good like leather, and a good fountain pen, and set up my books and a little lamp and get ready to study. Yes, and learn and give to others. Share what I learn with others. And I'm very excited. I have a new opportunity this fall. I am going to be teaching a class in church history. And I've been invited to a very special seminary. And it is a seminary that has a lot of Nigerian people that have come and from different parts of Africa. And they are studying and getting their degrees, and then they are going back and starting schools, churches, seminaries, and it's a very positive place. And Dr. Francis from Nigeria called me and asked me if I would come and teach a class. And so I'm taking my opportunity and walking through the door. And that's what I've been talking about on the Tea Talk. If a door opens, walk through it, if at all possible. Because what you have to give is something that no one else has to give. And it's for right now, to bring good news right now. Don't you love this sun? Oh my goodness. So, I am so happy you've joined me. I pray you have a fabulous weekend, a wonderful Labor Day weekend. Spend some time meditating and pondering and thinking, reflecting back on the summer and all the good things, and then looking forward to autumn. Make a list of the things you want to accomplish. That's the best way. Well, thank you again. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go to my channel if you are interested and would like to, and push the subscribe button, the notification bell, the like button, and you will be made aware of future Tea Talks. And please share with your friends. These are for everyone. And the goal of the tea table is to bring good news, cheer, and reflective thoughts and historical places and historical ideas and traditional. I want to give us not to forget why we have what we have. In fact, this being Labor Day, it was established in 1882 in New York, and Grover Cleveland was president. And it was by the labor unions that said the working man needs a vacation. And so they established it that it would be that first Monday in September. I believe at that time many people worked 6 days a week. They would have Sunday off, but the working man's life was very hard, and they wanted to honor the working men that built. It was really the construction union. They were honoring people that had built this country and were building the country. And so it's a very positive thing. And so if at all possible, enjoy Labor Day, relax, and have a vacation. And just going someplace for a day is so wonderful. I've discovered that again this summer. My husband and I have done a lot of day trips. You don't have to pack. You just get in the car and you're free to go and you enjoy it. And I love driving home in the evening and seeing the moon. And then I love driving, seeing the sunset. Especially when we came home from the ocean. We were all along the river and the ocean, and we watched the whole sunset in a way you could never see it just sitting still. So take a day trip, and you don't have to get a hotel. You can even pack a picnic. We actually packed a little picnic, and then we had a dinner. We had fish at the ocean. So it was perfect. Okay, well, God bless you. Have a wonderful week, and I will look forward to seeing you next time.